But I definitely want to talk about the wokewashing. Did I just make that up? Is that a term?
That's a really cute word. I love it.
It's good, right? We should have a tally of all the people that they try to appoint or all the things that they do. And we should keep track every time they do that. And by that, I mean they appoint bad people, name bad people, take bad positions, and they try to shroud it in like the identity of a person. So we already saw this happening with Representative Meeks basically pitched a pledge not to appoint people from Wall Street as being mutually exclusive with diversity. This was a piece in Politico in September. And the headline was Purity Test. Democrats clash over Biden diversity goals. The debate over whether corporate insiders should be in the mix for cabinet positions is shaping up to be a major point of tension within the party. Black Democrats are urging Joe Biden to resist growing pressure from the left to impose an anti-Wall Street purity test on his hiring decisions if elected, warning that it threatens the party's desire to boost diversity in powerful executive branch posts. Progressives have been calling on Biden to take a hard line in filling out his cabinet, with groups such as Justice Democrats and Sunrise Movement demanding that he pledge to appoint 0 current or former Wall Street executives or corporate lobbyists to his administration. But Black Democrats on Capitol Hill and on K Street say that's in direct conflict with the party's overarching diversity goals and would keep many people of color, including those with ties to the financial world, from ascending to key positions long dominated by white males. And then we're going to quote Rep. Meeks. We've got to fix all of the problems that were created over the last 4 years. Yeah, that's only those problems. Everything before then, we don't have to address any of that. A senior lawmaker on the House Financial Services Committee and a member of the Congressional Black Caucus said, we're going to need every hand on deck. Okay, you can have hands on deck that weren't on Wall Street, by the way. Black business leaders that Democrats have floated for potential Biden cabinet positions include Roger Ferguson, the CEO of financial services giant TIAA, and a one-time vice chair of the Federal Reserve, as well as John Rogers and Melody Hobson, the co-CEOs of Ariel Investments. The emerging debate over whether corporate insiders should be in the in the mix is shaping up to be a major point of tension within the party as it tries to unify around Biden's campaign. We've seen the effects of corporate control over the American government for our entire lives. It has blocked universal access to healthcare, real action on the climate crisis, and started endless wars that waste taxpayer dollars. We need to invest in schools and jobs, said Emily Mayer, a political director of
Wow, that sounds pretty racist to me.
I know, totally. One of the groups trying to discourage Biden from appointing executives and lobbyists. We reject the false choice. Exactly. It's a totally false choice, right? Also, I love the way that they say that it's like Black Democrats. Like who?
Well, everyone knows the only place that you can find a diverse collection of people who are smart is from the corporate world.
Yeah, right. There are literally there are no Black people who don't work in the corporate world. Yeah, that's just something that white privilege makes you blind to. And once you check your white privilege, you realize that every qualified Black person to be on a cabinet
works at Wall Street.
Works in Wall Street. Yeah. Cedric Richmond. Tell us about Cedric Richmond.
So he's a representative from a district which includes New Orleans. And he has been tapped to be, he's on the transition team, I believe, and also tapped to be basically the climate liaison for Joe Biden, which is hilarious because as it turns out, he takes more oil and gas money than almost anyone in Congress. There are only 4 people who take more than him. And his district is one of the most polluted in America. So it contains 7 out of the 10 most polluted air tracts in America. Okay, this is who we're talking about to be the climate liaison for the candidate who we were all supposed to hold our nose and vote for because he believed in science and he understood that we have only a short period of time to reverse the effects of cataclysmic climate change, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we were supposed to believe and understand that the good faith negotiations of the Sunrise Movement over the course of the summer were emblematic of the kind of partnership that the left should be engaging with Joe Biden, and that it was going to pay dividends. And now here we are, having given up all of our leverage in the weeks after the election. The man isn't even in office yet, and he's already signaling strongly that he's going to be wantonly disrespectful of science and even the veneer, even the superficial appearance of caring about science. Right. So at least one New York Times reporter responded to left push back against Cedric by saying it's not a good look for the Sunrise Movement to be attacking a Black man right out the gate.
We got it. Hold on. I got this. His name is Jonathan Martin, who hates Bernie Sanders, by the way.
Yes.
So the Sunrise Movement had the audacity to say that he was a bad choice. They were upset about it, right? And as you can see, Cedric Richmond's hire is betrayal due to big oil ties and silence on pollution in his district. That's a quote, right? So Jonathan Martin, not an op-ed writer, right? He's a reporter. He's like a reporter at the New York Times, but of course, so is Sydney Ember. So he writes 21 preview, ... picking a fight right from the start with the most influential Black staffer in the White House who represented an energy-heavy district. So he's mad at these very rude climate kids who have the audacity to not refrain from criticizing this person because he's Black. And that's just like really. So then you got Katie Halper. I thought this was going to land more, didn't it? 21 preview, picking a fight right from the start with the most respected youth climate change org, whose executive director, Varsh Prakash, is a brown woman. New York Times reporter. Thank you. You shouldn't care about climate change, which disproportionately affects POC or Richmond's record because he's Black. It's true. Like, we got to have a rainbow coalition of environmental destruction.
The reality is an article really needs to be written about the extent to which Black legislators have been used for this purpose, specifically because I think to make it not about them being bad people in particular, there are enormous fundraising requirements in Congress. Black Congress people tend to come from lower income districts because we're all gerrymandered into these Black districts, and that's how they got elected in the first place. A lot of them are actually pro-Republican gerrymandering because it means they get to preserve their predominantly Black district and not be at risk of getting voted out. But that's a whole nother thing. And that they have a more difficult time raising money in their districts because they have less affluent districts. So they're going to be more susceptible to lobbying and, gifts from petrochemical companies and Coca-Cola and landlord associations and all the other kinds of people who are doing a great deal of harm to Black folks. So I don't know what's in these people's hearts. I don't know what they would want to do in an ideal world. But the reality is that they repeatedly work against interests of their constituents. And Cedric Richmond is no exception.